First time in a long time, but back like I never left. Taking each day as it comes, you know me, I don't read ahead. Watch me burn down everything, BDE on the TV set. When I'm in control on the road, you can never really know what's up next.
Hello.
Hello.
Braden Herrington here with Davie Portman for upNXT. You found us at postwrestling.com, Apple Podcast, Spotify, and we are
live on youtube.com/postwrestling. Hello, YouTube room. How are we doing?
Hello, YouTube room. Hello to all the postmarks out here at Post Wrestling. Welcome. It's Tuesday, May 20th, 2025. Summer's not quite here yet. Toronto weather's been
it's come and gone, hasn't it?
Yeah, it was just winter today for some reason, almost pretty much. But I won't spare you with bad weather in Toronto, because in September I'm sure the weather will still be summertime weather in the 6. And maybe there's some of you out there that are thinking, oh, should I make my ways up to the 6? We might be talking about that in a little bit, but it's a city full of losers.
Oh boy, are we going there? Yeah.
We got to follow suit of the boss man, John Pollock, who, he's not wrong. We never said he's wrong. We just like to support our city from where we represent. And as soon as they suck in sports, we jump off that bandwagon very quickly. And go Leafs go. Next year's our year, right?
It's okay. We've always got the Argonauts.
The what?
And the Scepters and the Tempo. And,
come on.
And Rock. You know, we've got a lot of great
teams
in the city. Toronto Rock, right?
Yeah. CFL, look it up.
We've got a lot of things to be proud of in this city. Hockey isn't one of them.
Yeah. Go Leafs go. We did it again, but we went out on Sunday night for Game 7. The whole city was jumping, and then the second period, the city was getting their bills and crying. And we continued our night out. We somehow bar hopped around the sad state of Toronto, and everyone was just drinking. Anyone who was still out was just drinking their tears away all night. But
PB&Js.
We had PB&Js. We had a pretty wild night that I think we need to record a behind the BDE fairly soon, because I swear we evaded a fire on Spadina Avenue somehow. Some crazy lady.
I forgot about this.
Crazy lady comes yelling at us. I swear I'm not crazy, which is never a good thing to start a conversation with. Yells, "There's a fire over there. Don't go that way." And we're like, "Sure, lady." But then we cross the street to be safe, and then the fire department comes. A minute later, we see smoke. We're like, oh my God, she wasn't crazy. There was an actual fire.
Yeah. She was crazy as well.
She was, but
it just happened to be the fire as well. So.
Yeah. So we evaded that, and we survived. I guess someone was so upset that the Leafs lost that they started a fire on Spadina.
Yeah.
But anyways, we made it. We're alive.
Yes. Well, as you said, we're going to be recording behind the BDE later this week. So Hello, everyone. We are Poisonrana. We host upNXT every Tuesday, but we do so much more than just reviewing NXT every Tuesday. We have a whole other feed, Poisonrana, and a whole Patreon where we do a bunch of bonus content, such as last week's review of NXT TakeOver, the first one. We finally got to it on our Was Next adventure, where we've been going back right since 2012, Full Sail Arena NXT right to the present day. So we finally got up to NXT TakeOver last week. But Braden, what are we recording this week?
We've been all over the place. Sometimes our patrons get to select things, our family members. You too can become one. We recently did Big Trouble in Little China. Shout out Sunil, who picked that one. We had a blast talking all about that. It was your first time watching this John Carpenter, Kurt Russell cult classic, Big Trouble in Little China. And it made for it's a great, fun movie. 80s cheese movie, and it made for a pretty fun review. And you've never seen it before, and that's always a great dynamic when it comes to kind of cult classics sort of thing. And well, while we were out on Sunday night, while we were out for a smoke break, I recall a truck driving by that was a Final Destination Bloodlines like promo truck. They had fake logs in it, pretending like they're going to fall off, which I think is very genius strategic marketing for this movie. And I had said to you that I have actually never seen these movies, and we put it to a tadpole in the Poisonrana Facebook group, and we let you select through different wrestling pay-per-views that celebrate an anniversary, as well as Mission Impossible, the first one, because we've never reviewed it because of the new one, and Final Destination from 2000, the first one. And well, all of you voted, and our destination is very final, because for the first time ever, I'm going to be watching Final Destination, the OG, with Stifler and some 9 Inch Nails. It's fantastic. I love it already. And we'll see if we make our fate. Tomorrow we will be recording this, our review of the original Final Destination. And then who knows, maybe I'll have to go through all the way. I heard the new one's really good.
25th anniversary as well.
I guess that's why the new one has come out. Apparently the new one, the marketing is all around like this CN Tower like thing, which
right.
Recall the CN Tower, but even the logo and stuff has this like tower in it. So I'm very interested to watch this movie and do this review. So any of you weird horror people, I don't think I'll ever want to get on a plane after watching this.
Yeah, you'll pick this over Mission Impossible. It was really between those two that were close, but more Final Destination fans out there.
I do want to catch up on, like, I think we were saying briefly on Sunday that we both are, 90s kids, and like Mission Impossible 2 was peak cinema with the epic slow-mos and everything. But I've heard these new Mission Impossible movies get crazy. So I out of like interest alone, I do want to check it out. And I think Tom Cruise has had this full face turn with society. There was a moment there when we all thought he was crazy.
Yeah.
For a long time, actually. He was jumping around on the couch, and then he makes Top Gun 2, and everyone's like, you know what? You're kind of cool. You're back. So I'm kind of in, because now he's going to make all sorts of other different movies. So bless him. I'm excited to watch that. But I'm excited to watch Final Destination. It is one of the shows we're going to be reviewing tomorrow on our Patreon. And then next week, we're going to be joined by Benno and Hamflet for The Champ is Here, episode 9. We've been doing these shows on our Patreon. Some of them are for free on our free feed as well, where we've been going through all the John Cena wins and title wins and reigns and stuff. So this has been a lot of fun. And next week will be one hell of a show. I'm sure we're gonna have some laughs and some great chat about John Cena. So you can support us and listen to all these other podcasts that we do. Patreon.com/Poisonrana for $5 to become a friend. And I'll get some other just cheap plugs out of the way while I can. We were just at a show last week. Shout out Demand Lucha. We always got to show them love, because they know how to put on a lucha party in the city, and every time we go to their shows, it's amazing. We had a blast at the Phoenix. Shout out Arez, the new Demand Lucha champion. That guy always impresses. King of Strange Style, the luchador. He's awesome. But they're doing another show in June, and I can't wait for that. So go give Demand Lucha a follow if you haven't already. Their stuff is also available for streaming. But this Saturday, I'm going to Kitchener, Ontario. And if you're in the GTA Toronto area, check out Slamdemonium. I did an interview with Jeff Black. He's one of the trainers and wrestlers from Off the Rope Studios. And I want to support Canadian content here. I don't often go to Kitchener, Ontario, but I'm going this weekend, and I'm going to check out some of the wrestling they got going on, because it's a giant fundraiser for Kids Ability. And I'm all about supporting kids. And my heel gimmick is I don't like kids, but the truth is I'm always out there to support. So Slamdemonium, featuring some great wrestling, Dynamite Kid Jr., Jay Lethal. If you listen to the interview, you'll know why that's a funny thing for me to bring up, but a whole lot more as well. Classic indie wrestling, not in a major city, but in Kitchener. And I'm really looking forward to. So go check out Off the Rope Studios as well on your Instagram or Facebook to check it out, because I'll be there. And if you show up, please come say hi. Check the guy with the frog hat.
Yes. What else have we got going on?
I feel like, we had a lot of people asking us, because we're the Toronto wrestling guys, like, oh, you guys doing Money in the Bank? And I know we're taking a break from that, but probably do a SummerSlam party or something. But we have a lot of free shows as well on our free feed. But do go give us a follow on all the socials if you use anything. Facebook, we have a page and a group that you can join, and Instagram and all that stuff. It's the best way to stay connected and see what else that we got going on our socials, and Poisonrana.ca for links for everything.
Yeah, we go live every Sunday, usually at 2 p.m. To talk all about other wrestling, AEW, SmackDown, Raw, mainly some New Japan, some news stories that's going on. We do that on youtube.com/@PoisonRanaPod every Sunday, unless it's a Sunday like this Sunday, because it is Battleground. It's a big weekend of wrestling. We've got Saturday night's main event, we've got Battleground, and we've got Double or Nothing. We are your NXT friends. So we will be going live right after WWE Battleground. They're branding it,
right? Yes. Can't forget that WWE Battleground. Yes.
We'll be going live after the show, whenever it finishes, about 5 minutes after, to be doing that review and maybe talking about a little bit about Saturday night's main event and other stuff we've caught. So that will be in place of Poison Rana this week.
Absolutely. Yes. Catch us this Sunday right here at Post Wrestling. If you are choosing NXT Battleground over Double or Nothing, hey, all the power to you. Whatever wrestling you enjoy over whichever. I'm sure some people are going to try to watch one and then quickly watch the other, or maybe cherry pick some stuff, but do not watch both at the same time. It's a pay-per-view, so it's just straight wrestling. That's not fair. You want your full attention on the wrestling. But we will be your NXT friends as always, and we will be here live right after the show. Who knows? There's a chance we're done even before Double or Nothing ends. So we'll see. Although they keep adding matches now, Davey. So with that and commercials and stuff,
they're always NXT.
WWE now have been sliding in those. Oh yeah, even NXT has been running like shy of 3 hours, which is like, come on, God. Without these hour-long commercial breaks, it's like the show would be done way quicker. But we will be live right here on Post Wrestling this Sunday, probably around 10:30, 11 or so, whenever the show actually ends. So catch us here. And then, of course, next Tuesday, we'll be back with NXT, chatting all about the fallout from NXT Battleground. And it will not be in NXT Tampa next Tuesday, because as they announced on the show tonight, that they will no longer be doing the Tuesday after Battleground show in Tampa. The show has been canceled, and they are going back to the PC. I saw lots of reports from different places, Fightful, etc., where they said it was just due to a lack of ticket sales. Though, aren't they doing, because they're doing, is SmackDown in Tampa as well, right? Isn't it SmackDown? Or no, Saturday it's night's main event, and is it not Raw?
Is it Raw? Maybe it's that. So Saturday night's main event, Battleground, and Raw.
Yeah,
you saw it at the end of NXT, at the end of WrestleMania weekend. That NXT
show, tired crowd
at Vegas seemed tired. And if you are an NXT fan, you're probably one of the diehards, and you probably have gone to 3 other shows before that. And I can understand there may be being a lack of interest after a weekend like that.
Yeah,
I hope that doesn't put them off running other events outside of the PC, because I do really like it when they go to other parts. But maybe this one was a bit ambitious.
Honestly, if you put yourself in your shoes there, it's like maybe a lot of these people who are coming into Tampa for these shows, by Tuesday, they're gone.
Yeah.
So like that's already a chunk of people. Florida is already NXT territory. Like they do their show every week in just outside of Orlando, and then the Winter Garden or whatever. But then they're doing like the quote unquote coconut loop, if we still want to call it that, of still doing house shows around Florida. It's a lot to ask of people to do that many shows. And hey, maybe there's people who would pick NXT over other stuff, but that's 2 shows right in a span of a few days.
Yeah,
already.
And it's pushing it. It's not going to be many people traveling in for this show. It's going to be more your locals. It's different with WrestleMania. You've got 60,000+ people, tourists coming everywhere. My flight's not till Thursday. Sure, I'll go to NXT tonight. But if you're just drawing from that local crowd, it's a lot to ask if you've just done a whole weekend.
Like according to WrestleTix, they canceled the show today, and they had only sold just under 1,700 tickets. So obviously this is a bigger arena, and they decided this just isn't worth it. Unfortunate timing for that Javon Evans tweet just a week or so ago about wrestling in front of, what did he say, 2,000 people. He cursed it somehow, but he's still wrestling on, and there'll be more than 2,000 people on the Sunday show. Like, I'm sure they'll be fine for Battleground. I think there's about 6,000 or plus tickets for that show, according to WrestleTix. But like, it's just a lot to ask of. Like, it's a lot to ask of any of these shows. We like to go on wrestling weekends and trips, and even when they come here, and you got to pick and choose. Sometimes you might be able to get that ticket for so cheap, or like when AEW does Collision, obviously the second rate show compared to what a bigger pay-per-view or Dynamite. Fans sometimes are like, is that even worth it? I don't know. So I understand them doing it, and it's business, and this happens normally. Like, people, especially internet wrestling, always clowning AEW for this kind of stuff, but like, that's just business. I look at artists, Katy Perry's tour, all these tours of these artists who've had to like scale down if it's just not working, and it makes more sense. So they're moving back to Florida for next week. I mean, from Florida to Florida next week, but Battleground, we will be here watching it. So let us know if you'll be an NXT friend with us this Sunday, and the hype is real because they got a real card. We're going to go through tonight's episode of NXT, but we'll do some preview and predictions, and I think NXT has been delivering on the PLEs, at least the last few. So I'm excited.
we'll kind of give predictions as the show goes on and previewing Battleground. But these have been pretty strong as of late. So what else have you been watching? Did you catch Raw last night at all?
I caught some of the clips. I saw the stuff with Sami Zayn and CM Punk, and that's the tag match, right? This Saturday, Saturday night's main event. I mean, we kind of talked about it, maybe even last week. Is it too crazy to say Sami Zayn is turning on CM Punk?
I really hope not. That seems to be the theory. That's
like a layup, right?
But I feel like he was only a heel, like, a year or so ago. That seems pretty recent, and I just think if you're telling a story of Sami Zayn chasing that title, I don't want to see that as a heel. I kind of hope not. I think it's almost the easy thing to do, but I'd be disappointed if they went that way.
Yeah, like, I kind of don't know if I want it to go that way, but they're definitely making it seem like that would be the thing. Like, what's he gonna do? Wrestle the whole match and then decide he wants to turn on Punk, or maybe he just turns on Punk without being involved with Seth and Braun, and maybe that spirals off a feud, right? Because that could be pretty cool, I guess. But
like turning after the match, or
when's the Saudi show? Maybe he takes out Punk for like a month, and then Punk's just injured, and then miraculously comes back after that round of pay-per-views. But I think the tag match has some interest. The Seth and Braun stuff has been pretty good. I saw some people. Paul Heyman didn't mention Sabu like 2 weeks in a row on Raw, which I think was kind of more louder than not saying anything at all. But I don't know. I'm interested in that tag match, I'd say, for Saturday night's main event a lot more than the R-Truth Cena build. Just not the. I don't want to say the Cena whole thing is a dud, but like, for me, my interest level went from like okay to none at all now, which I think is a shame. I don't, just speaking as my own opinion, I couldn't care if he fought CM Punk again right now. I'm just kind of like, go back to being a babyface, end your career. Let's move on. It's the Sting retirement tour. This is not, in my opinion, but
it's really odd. Like, it's I still feel it's early in the run, but I haven't been enjoying it so far. I found the promos quite repetitive, and not linking up with other stuff that's kind of been, the whole stuff with The Rock, obviously.
Yeah.
But then, we've kind of been waiting for him to beat up R-Truth, and to do it at the press conference in front of no one felt an odd choice. Like, you could have at least actually got a real, heel reaction from this crowd towards him if it was done on a Raw or whatever. So that's been weird. He just feels, he does feel, and R-Truth even kind of hinted at this, just like evil clone John Cena. Right. He's in a movie and he's playing John Cena's evil twin brother. And
that's always the worst, most boring
like.
comic book villains ever. Like when Superman has the clone, when Godzilla gets a clone. Anytime someone's a clone,
doesn't it feel like that though? It feels like
Yeah.
we're just going to get the real John Cena come
Boring.
out and be like, "No, this isn't me." Can you tell? He was really mean.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling it.
It's still like, I think for one of these Saturday night main events, it's kind of big having Cena on it and knowing we're possibly going to get a bit of an angle here. It's not for the title. Do you see this potentially being like a Cody return or something like that?
Yeah, true. Like Cody's been MIA since this.
R-Truth actually pins Cena due to shenanigans.
That would be pretty funny. Due to Cody, I don't know. Yeah, it's just not the way like we expected this to. Even the R-Truth stuff is like, oh, this isn't how I figured this would go down either. So I don't know. I'm willing to see where it goes out. Like it looks like they're gonna make it a special, whether it's a Saturday night's main event or last time is now a special event for his last like time. And like he's got to have one last match. And I feel like he's got to turn babyface before that. And there's still a whole summer, but I don't know. What about I'm also wondering, like, while he's heel, is he still doing Make-A-Wish? Or has he put this on hold?
No, well, they've been advertising the Fanatics meet and greets recently.
So he's still doing it. Okay.
He's still doing it. And like, I think, you know, if you paid like hundreds of dollars to see John Cena and he was just MJFing it, you know, just being a complete dick to you, you'd be like, man, I've been a fan of you for 25 years and
be pretty funny.
Finally spent this money to see you one last time and you're a dick. Come on.
Well, all those people spent, I don't know how much money to go see WrestleMania, and his Titantron was just John Cena, and he just walked out like nothing special at all. So it's not the most creative way, but it's the most easiest way for them to have made money this year. So bless them.
Other stuff go for it. Other stuff on Raw. I've kind of enjoyed in a way what they're setting up with this world title. So you've got Logan Paul versus Jey Uso for the title at Saturday night's main event, which I don't see Logan Paul winning this one, but we know we've got the guaranteed rematch with Gunther afterwards. So that's interesting. And I think Seth very much putting himself in the mix, having the title match with Jey the other week and kind of talking to both Gunther and Logan on Raw. I kind of like it. Like sometimes I feel companies forget that the title should be the most important thing. And I think AEW recently kind of turned the corner when you had like, right, these are the 6 guys and they're all going for this and they all want that thing. I think I kind of like how they're planning that all out and you're not necessarily sure where it's going to go or what order these matches are coming in. But I thought they laid the foundations quite nicely on Raw this week.
Like, I'm not mad at the Jey Uso thing than maybe more so people, but I can't say it's been the most like entertaining, but I'm still willing to, I still like enjoy hating Logan Paul, but it's definitely wearing off. I feel like he's got to do a lot more than just copy and paste the same promo every time. Like, oh, I've only been here for 2 years and I'm better than like, that's his Chris Jericho. I beat Stone Cold and The Rock in the same night. Like he's just every promo. And I'm like, we need maybe an evolution of his character. And I do think giving him the title one day is a great move for the company, but I don't necessarily see that being right now. And we got a hot potato to make it to Seth, but it's funny that I feel like everyone's appreciating the Jey Uso stuff. At least the people who were there live, they still seem really into it. But I've gone pretty like bored of it that I'm almost thinking like, okay, when do we just move it along to Seth? Because right now that would be the hot thing to do because of like his big win at Mania and the Punk stuff. But does that mean we just go back into a Seth Punk feud for the summer, which is potential? I mentioned there's a chance we get Sammy and Punk going off against one another in like a pay-per-view match. Could be really cool as well. Or do we somehow get Punk back to John Cena? The Money in the Bank thing, everyone like, is that even possible? So many people keep thinking that they would do Money in the Bank one more time. There's no reason not to, but I would put Punk in the match with.
Yeah, I think Punk and Cena, I think it feels like the like symmetry with the original Money in the Bank would be cool.
Yeah.
But I think it's too big a match.
Yeah.
I think you've got to do it at SummerSlam. It's a big stadium show, 2 nights. I think that's when you save that for.
That's absolutely right. They're doing 2 nights in MetLife, which which definitely is where you would probably do that. Like that makes way more sense. Stadium, one of the nights being that match, that's going to sell a lot of tickets, I would imagine. The last time these two will ever wrestle, when they locked up in the chamber in Toronto, the place went pretty crazy. So I feel like that would definitely.
It was actually some of the best stuff Cena's done. Was that little like minute he had with Punk? I thought in that match.
So we got Saturday night's main event. We got Battleground, and then it seemed pretty quickly Money in the Bank will be creeping up, right?
Yeah, we had Rhea Ripley and Roxanne Perez qualify for Money in the Bank. Roxanne, they really seem to be putting quite a lot behind her. But then we had that Zoe Stark injury in the Kyrie Rhea match, which was nasty. Did you see the?
Yeah, very unfortunate, very nasty. Yeah, I saw the slow-mo version, and it made me cringe for sure.
She screamed in like so much pain right away, where you kind of knew it was real, if you know what I mean. Like she wasn't selling that much on a botched.
Yeah, I hope she's all right for sure.
Very nasty. But yeah, so Rhea's going forward to that, as well as Roxanne, who bought Dominic some chicken nuggets.
They were kind of sus looking nuggies, though. I don't know.
They weren't tendies, were they? They weren't tendies. They were nuggies.
They look like McDonald's, or like what, like ones you put in the oven or whatever. Like
it's when we're coming home and we open the freezer and just dump a bunch of shit in the air fryer.
Yeah. I'm not. I can't say I'm necessarily a nuggie person. I'm not really a nugget kind of guy. But once they're presented to me, like I'm not going to say no. But he makes it his thing, which I really respect, because he can go city to city and shell nuggies for the rest of his life. But there's those kinds of people out there, those like plain Jane kind of, I'll eat nuggets, I'll eat fries, I'll eat a plain burger, cheese pizza. They're out there. Those people exist. And if you're listening, I'm not trying to offend you. That's fine. You like what you like, right? Like, but what you eat don't make me shit, so it's fine. But like you're missing a whole world out there of weird shit that you got to try.
I served these two old American guys yesterday, and they ordered their food, and I was like, "And did you want gravy on the side for your fries?" And he's like, "We don't do that down south." I was like, and I went,
you ain't down south.
That's exactly what I said. Well, you ain't down south no more.
North. You in the north now, baby.
And then he's like, he orders a burger. He's like, but I don't want any lettuce, don't want any tomato, don't want any onions. And I went, we don't do that up north. You got to have it as it's on the menu. He's like, what, seriously? I was like, no, that's fine.
That's how we do things up here. We put gravy on our fries, and we have good. Lettuce on a burger, I can understand. It can get all wilty and kind of gross. I get that. That's a big argument. To put lettuce on your burger. I know you hate pickles, but I need pickles on my burger. It's a must for me.
Terrible.
I know you're the opposite, so you don't have to get into this argument again. However, if maybe you're thinking fries, gravy, it's missing some cheese curds, and we call it a poutine, and you could get one if you make way, if you travel this Saturday, September 20th at the Scotiabank Arena. AEW has announced All Out Toronto. Yeah, you don't pronounce the last T there. There's a little insider's tip for you. All Out Toronto coming soon. They have moved out of Chicago. Canada strong, Canada proud. We are getting a pay-per-view from AEW at the Scotiabank, at the bank, and we're going all out. Very excited about this news. We may have been tipped off a little early, but we didn't want to spill the beans without knowing the true date of this thing. But how exciting is this? They've moved out of Chicago and coming over to our city. Very excited.
They've got rid of the cocaine logo as well.
Those border services have really gotten strict since Trump and Carney have talked. So that's why
we've cleaned it up. We're bringing it up here.
We got pure fentanyl up here. That's what it should be made out of. I can't tell what it's supposed to be now. It's like
it's a leaf. It's the harbor front, and it's a maple leaf.
You can actually see my old apartment, your apartment, right there in the graphic. But the BDE tower is full front and center. But yes, All Out is coming to Toronto. We kind of were saying months ago that, hey, they haven't given us a a show, let alone a pay-per-view in a while. And since they did Forbidden Door in 2023, which you see people to this day talk about what an epic event that was, I think it was about time. And I was kind of predicting that maybe a full gear or perhaps another Forbidden Door, but no, I think what tipped off was the moving of Double or Nothing. They decided Vegas is bored of us. We need to move. They did to Arizona, and it looks like it's going to be a hell of a time. So they're doing the same thing with this.
It's about time. We were saying this for a long time. Like you can't keep running the same cities. And I think it's a company way too young to be like trying to have traditions like this.
Yeah.
Like the Now Arena isn't great. It's in the middle of nowhere. That's the old Sears Center in Chicago. Well, Hoffman Estates. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's not, they can run bigger venues in Chicago, or at least at their peak they could. So it's a silly tradition to kind of be fixated on. And I think out of necessity, with Mania being in Vegas this year, they moved it and put it in Arizona. And I think once they've done that, they've gone, you know what, screw it. All Out can be somewhere else. Full Gear can be like, we don't need to be attached to these specific cities. And they always draw well in Toronto, at least when it comes to the pay-per-views they have done. So I think it's a good move. Like, obviously very happy it's here, but I think being anywhere as a different location would be a good move.
Absolutely. They need to do that. They need to branch out. And, like they've done a few Dynamites. They've done the pay-per-view when they did 2023, but they've branched out a little bit. We went to a Collision like in London or Hamilton, I think, as well. But bringing a pay-per-view here will bring, I think they'll do well. Like Forbidden Door was like, if not a sellout, like very close to. It was very, very loud and a crazy atmosphere that, again, any Toronto wrestling fan, you bring that show up and people are like, that was the best show like possibly ever. And I think people maybe refer to Kenny and Ospreay as one of the best matches that just comes to mind of AEW full stop. And like you have the city's full. I feel like the city will show up for this. Hopefully AEW is still hot enough for Canadians to jump on, but I think it's going to be great. Like I said, September 20th, it's still summertime here in Toronto. It's not cold. I don't recommend this city when it's wintertime as much. Yeah, the snow can be beautiful and stuff. Sometimes we don't even get snow. It's just cold and it sucks. But when you come here in June, July, August, September, it's beautiful.
September should still be pretty
September
nice,
will still be gorgeous. So you already know BDE up next, Poisonrana. We like to party and follow this space because this announcement is definitely awesome for us, and we're gonna be cooking something up. We'll have to talk to John away, but very excited about this. So get your tickets whenever they are, pack your bags, and hopefully we see you all out in Toronto, September 20th. Very excited.
Okay, thinking way ahead. What's the main event?
Okay, well we gotta move. Hangman should be champ. We did mention we're also we pulled a little funny. We had a little too much for net, and Davie booked us a trip to All In Texas as well. So we're not only going to All Out, but we're going all in. Listen to our Sunday show for our great analysis of how that happened. But we're going to Texas as well, and I think Hangman should be the guy. I mean, we're gonna see after this Sunday, but. We won't. We'll be watching Battleground, but hopefully no one spoils anything. No spoilers in the chat this Sunday. Yes. But Hangman versus someone?
I'm going to say Hangman Darby as the main
Hangman
event.
Darby at All Out. Okay. Yeah. I would say Kenny versus Alexander.
Okay.
Is that too crazy for the Intercontinental Championship?
The Continental Championship.
The Continental Championship. Yes. Yeah, I think that would make sense because Alexander, obviously being from here, we want to represent our boy, but another Canadian, my goat, Kenny. I think that would be a great match. Speedball definitely will be involved as well, being another Canadian. Not too far, Montreal. I think I don't know what else. Edge and Christian versus the Young Bucks. TLC. Book it. TLC. Crazy shit. Let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think you do the FTR Edge and Christian match at All In, and then I like that it's not immediately after All In this year as well.
Oh yeah, way better.
All In's earlier. Actually spread it out. Build it up to feel a big show.
You know, I was actually really, really worried. So we got a little tip off this was happening, and I've said on a show, I've booked vacation. I booked a very big trip with me, myself, and my girlfriend in September. And as soon as someone told me this a few weeks ago, I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna miss it, because it's usually like the first weekend of September. It's usually on your birthday, right?
Yeah, it's Labor Day weekend usually.
And I was like kicking myself, like, man, I booked a trip. I've been booking all these things, flights, hotels, like I'm going to the DDT show. But I noticed DDT made their Peter Pan a different weekend. And I was like, that's because they're trying to book Takeshita, meaning he needs to be booked somewhere else. And I was doing a little detective work, and I'm so happy that I'm back and I'll be able to go to this. So I hope we can see some listeners out there. I'm very excited about this. Every time there's a big wrestling event coming through the city, we like to represent and bring your frog hats out. And post wrestling, Poisonrana, the community is a big part of this. And that's what makes this a lot of fun. So hopefully we can see a lot of you people out there. I see Jake from the Windy City saying, it would be cool if AEW did a residency at the Mattamy Center, the Maple Leaf Gardens. That is totally an idea that people were talking about at the Maple Leaf Wrestling Show just a few weeks ago, because AEW has been announcing these residencies in all the cities they've been going to. So I don't think it would necessarily be a shock if they were to do something pretty quickly. Yeah. And that is a way smaller arena than the Scotiabank and like Rico, where they've ran before. So they would be able to fill that every night.
Do a Dynamite Collision, ROH.
The vibe there would be pretty cool. It's half of it's a Loblaws now, which is a grocery store.
Good Loblaws as well.
It is, yeah. The cheese is great. But I think that would be pretty sweet. And I don't think it necessarily is a crazy thing to assume that they would be doing a residency here as well. But the pay-per-view is a sure shot. Going to be a great show. Very excited about that.
Yes.
Absolutely. So maybe we'll see you. Let us know. DM us. Are you planning to come to All Out? And what, you know, we Forbidden Door, ours was Forbidden Pour. What was our Money in the Bank one? The Cash In, All In It. This one's all out, eh? Like, that's the best I got. So we're gonna have to troubleshoot that a little. All Out, eh?
Ball Out? I don't
Ball
know.
Out? That's gonna be hard to put on Eventbrite. People will be like, what kind of event is this? Let us know. Balls Out, All Out. What should our event name be? I love puns. We'll have to ask the king of it, Pollock, to see. But yeah, I'm excited. I love that. I love that they're coming to our city again. And let's fucking go. Let's do it. Another thing, NXT Europe. Is that a real thing now? Should we be worried? You all laughed at me when I said NXT Italy, but look at who's laughing now. NXT Europe taking over. NXT quietly, WWE signing some people across the pond here in different countries, and people are led to assume that this is going to be some sort of NXT Europe, NXT UK type deal, I assume, where it's we're going to sign everybody. You can still work other dates, maybe, possibly. I don't know. This is still all kind of swirling around, but they're doing what they were doing before. So
interesting. I mean, they're doing these other shows like Evolve and LFG, and it wouldn't surprise me to see, at least if they can get like any sort of TV with it, because I think that's something with them being on Netflix in so many places. They're maybe trying to find some other TV deals to put out a smaller show. So like an NXT UK, NXT Europe. Wouldn't surprise me to see something like that come back.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I just hope it doesn't do what it did last time, although, you know, the cream does rise to the crop. Certain stars through the years of Brit Rez, if you will, or NXT UK. I mean, Gunther. I mean, he's been fighting Pat McAfee and fucking Jey Uso, but he's become a bigger star. And I don't think a lot of people assume that when he went through WWE system all these years ago, that people would say, oh, they're going to fumble Walter, etc. And like, I think they've done a fucking great job when it comes to the end of it. But then you got Tyler Bates and Pete Dunne, who've been signed for 10 years. And I can't really say they've done a whole lot in those 10 years, but you know what I mean? Like they just got rid of Gallus. So,
I mean, Rhea Ripley is your biggest
sure
star from NXT UK, but yeah, I know what you mean. But I think it's not. I think if you get a Rhea Ripley out of it, that's great. But I think it's just a more content, more different revenues, you know, and ways to use these talents. I was laughing though, because You said cream rises to the crop, and I said that. No, I said that like 2 weeks in a row by accident as well. So it's just a weird.
You've given it to me now.
I've given you it. Yeah.
The cream does rise to the crop.
Cream rises to the crop. Boys and girls.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to talk about some NXT right now, and then we'll go into some preview and predictions for WWE Battleground this Sunday. Again, follow us on all the socials to keep updated with all the stuff that we do. We'll be watching this show, and then we're going to talk about it on Sunday. But we're talking right now about WWE NXT from Tuesday, May 20th, 2025. The go-home show for Battleground. This Sunday, we start the show. All the superstars arriving. We see Joe Hendry, the TNA champion, showing up with his guitar. He's going to be singing, closing out the show, as well as Trick, a rap performance. It's going to be a wild show here tonight. But we start things off with Ricky Saints, who starts the show coming down. We get a recap of last week where Ethan Page attacked him backstage, and he's pretty mad, but he's coming out because it was Ricky who sort of set this matchup here, this triple threat, sort of quasi number one contender for the North American.
No, this was officially number one.
Okay, nice. So he set this up, and it's happening. He joins commentary for the match, and Booker T, who I'm pretty sure said he kind of looked like a bum the other week, says, "Oh, I think you looked really nice," and references the oak tree. I think maybe a store where perhaps Ricky had bought the gear he was wearing here, and Booker says, game realizes game here. I thought he was calling him a bum again, but
so what you're saying is Ricky Saints has agreed to do Reality of Wrestling. Is that
something has gone down? Yeah, he's going to show up. I'm pretty sure he has in the past, but I feel like Ricky has definitely signed on to do that. So because when Booker changes his tune, you've definitely booked a show at RAW. So Javon Evans taking on Shawn Legacy versus Ashante the Adonis, a triple threat. Shawn Legacy from Evolve. If you've watched any of that, you might have seen some of his flashy stuff, but we saw a little bit of him in the Battle Royal, and it was enough to get him in this spot. And then Javon, hot off his Twitter feud with Ricochet, he's here to try to get one step back to some opportunities at Gold. And then Ashante, who's recently separated, recently broken up with, but here he is, comes out doing some dancing, some fake basketball hooping, and then does one of the oldest tricks in the book. You've done this one at least once in your life. There's a girl in the front row, and he says, "Give me a kiss right here. Plant one on me." And she goes to give him one. Says, "Why not?" And as she goes to kiss his cheek, he turns his face so she kisses his lips, and she laughs like, "Oh, you." And then he gets into the ring and shakes his hips. And Vic Joseph says, "What the hell is this guy doing?" What an entrance here from Tahuti Miles, Ashante the Adonis. But what was even better was as he makes his way into the ring, I should mention he's wearing sunglasses inside and what they call mink, and then Booker also calls chinchilla. So they're not quite on the same page of what fake fur he's wearing. And he throws the fake fur at Javon's and then attacks Shawn Legacy. And for a good at least 30 seconds, he's punching both guys while still wearing his sunglasses. And I have to say that I appreciated that. I really think he should have wrestled a lot longer in the sunglasses. And it made me think, why don't guys do that? Is it just harder to see? Maybe, I would assume.
Yeah, and you don't want glass in your eyes. Oh, I mean, Orange Cassidy quite famously.
True. Yeah, true. Yeah. What am I saying? Of course. So the glasses finally get thrown off, and then these three go at it. And this was a pretty awesome match. Not things just started off all sorts of quickly. There was counters and springboards and arm drags and rolling attempts, especially between Shawn Legacy and Javon Evans. They were so fast. Ashante hits this twisting sky press to the outside onto Javon, sort of. He kind of didn't catch him. This is when Booker T is yelling about Shawn Legacy, who is this guy and why aren't we giving Ashante a shot? And he's just yelling, and Vic says, "Man, you've had way too much coffee tonight." There's a huge tope from Javon that takes out everyone, and there's all sorts of three guys going at it in such crazy sequences. When we come to picture in picture, this is when Booker T does agree that the coffee was really good tonight. He says the coffee and catering was really nice, so it was good, man. He says there's a huge lariat by Ashante to Javon, followed up by a crazy drop kick from Legacy and a "they are cooking" chant from the crowd. when we're back from break, there's a Spanish fly, a crazy tope, 450 from Legacy that breaks up a pinfall that was this huge Rana off the top as well from Evans. There's a cutter, a splash from Evans, but it's broken up again. And then this is when Ethan Page attacks Ricky, who was on commentary, and they start fighting. There's all these security jobber cops who are all trying to break it up when Javon does a huge dive to take all of them out. And this is when Adonis is in there and Legacy hits him with, I'm not sure what this is called, but to me, this was a burning hammer stormbreaker is what the best way I could describe this.
He kind of had him in the AA, and then as he's flipping him over,
a torture rack.
Yeah,
like a torture rack, and then as you go to drop him for like the burning hammer, he spins him like a stormbreaker. And Shawn Legacy, it looked crazy. I watched this a few times, and Shawn Legacy gets the win and gets a title opportunity against Ricky Starks. But this really started the show off with a bang. It really got the crowd into it. Definitely got my attention. Like, I've not seen a lot about this Legacy guy, but so far so good, and I'm all in. I gotta see more of him, because his moves are crazy, but then his move is even crazier. So definitely worth checking out if you haven't.
Yeah, I thought this was a very, very strong match, and I think one of the best NXT's put on TV for a while. Like, I found it thoroughly enjoyable. I thought having Javon, who's such a fan favorite and just generally great in there, it's so funny that he's probably the youngest one in this match, and he is kind of there to elevate the people around him. Ashante he's still on a bit of a rehab thing. You know, he came back from the main roster. He hasn't done a great deal. He had the stuff with Carmen, but we really don't see him wrestle a whole lot. I thought this was a good opportunity for him to really showcase what he's good at. And I think, you know, he's got the swagger and stuff with the entrance, but I thought he really showed up in ring as well. And Shawn Legacy was just that. The Battle Royal they had recently, which he wasn't in for long, but the minutes he was there, like, really showcased what he could do. I just thought it made for like a great match here, and really exciting. We say like the men's division needs some more guys, and I think all three guys really proved themselves here.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, Ashante definitely is one that he's been flip-flopping around, especially like the gimmick with Carmen and the girls and all that stuff, but he can actually wrestle. But I think coming out of this, this was a showcase to show this new up and coming guy. And sometimes you have to, I mean, that's what they did with Javon, right? Like, right away, show us what you can do. And he did. And then right away they go, you're now a mainstay. And he was quickly used prominently on TV. And I think that's something they could instantly do with this guy. And yeah, just watching back this move is absolutely crazy. This spinning, like, what even is this thing?
It looks great.
Yeah. Nuts. So awesome. And it's called Shambles, apparently.
Okay.
Shambles, because that's what it is. He puts you in shambles of what this move is. But we will be getting a Shawn Legacy versus Ricky Saints match in the future, because they'll talk about it a little bit later tonight. But yeah, really fun, strong opening match for these guys. And Javon, like, he's become one of the best at such a young age of like some of the craziest stuff in ring, like some of the backwards bouncing, flipping stuff you can't even think of coming up with.
I think he starts needing names for some of his moves though, because whenever I'm writing stuff, it is exactly
crazy flip move.
That flippy, bouncy, spinny kick he does.
Yeah. We go to Ava's office. She's with Stone and Stevie, and she's angry about Ethan Page and Ricky Saints and says, I want you to go get them and bring them here. We have to talk to them. She's pretty pissed. But then she talks to correct me if I'm wrong, the winners of LFG from this week. So we have Jasper Troy and Tyra May Steele, and they are the winners of LFG. And Ava says that in the next few weeks, you will be debuting here on NXT. Welcome to the roster. And they hand these contracts over to Ava and says, good luck. And I noticed here, I think it's Jasper. He says, we're here to like make a name for ourselves. And tonight I'm going to do that. And she's like, okay, and then walks off. But one of these people is wearing a real gold Olympic medal around their neck, and the other is wearing a Dollar Tree Halloween costume, giant oversized chain.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd point that out there. You could maybe guess which one. If not, May Steele is the actual former Olympian. And I guess Jasper Troy went to a dollar store earlier tonight. Not a great first impression for me on NXT. That looked really stupid. I don't think he ended up coming out later with it on. I'm jumping ahead.
I think he did have it on later. I'm trying to remember. Because I noticed the chain as well. But
you don't need to use the dollar store for your gear. I know you're just new to NXT, but like, come on, man. It looked really cheesy to me. I know that's nitpicking, but yeah. Anyways, so these two are new to NXT. We'll see what they do.
I think, like, I haven't watched a whole deal of LFG. I've seen bits and bobs, but I think the timing of this is pretty good. Like, I remember I feel like the original Tough Enoughs, there was quite a break between the actual end of the show to us actually seeing them properly. I might be wrong, but the timing of this, obviously LFG was filmed quite a while ago. The finale was in the MSG at the theater, which was an NXT special, like quite a few weeks ago now. And having them training the whole time to get them kind of ready for NXT immediately, I think you kind of go off the whatever buzz there is. If you were into this show, it will make you interested in these people and not leaving too long before you forget them.
Yeah, well, we'll see one of them later tonight. And I think they'll try at least to incorporate them more into the show, especially after Battleground. We get a video for Jordynne Grace, the #1 contender, this Sunday, Battleground against Stephanie Vaquer. We see pretty much like a music video here where Grace is training in the gym, getting that pump in. And she talks about how in 2024 that there were 3 top free agents, Stephanie, Julia, and her, and says that they just kind of got here before her. And doesn't mean that she's not as good, but she's going to take that title and she's going to prove that she is the real champion, and will prove that she is the best thing going here and the best one of these 3 signings. We just see her in the gym, like getting absolutely jacked. Every time you see Jordynne Grace, she's more jacked than she was the week before. So I don't think they needed to do a whole lot for this match, because I think this could be potentially the main event as well for
it should be
Sunday. Like, this is the match that should absolutely slap, especially these 2 women. So I didn't necessarily love this part with Jordynne Grace. I like the one later that we'll get with Vaquer.
I think they were both good at showing like how these are telling the story. There's not much tell between these 2. They're both baby faces and they're good wrestlers. So I think a short build was good for this match. And I think videos like this are perfectly fine for the feud they're telling here. And yeah, I thought we've seen Jordynne Grace maybe a bit longer, because even her pre-NXT days, she was with TNA. So we've kind of heard her story before. So maybe that's why the Stephanie one stands out a little bit more. But I enjoyed both these videos today. Not quite a prime target like the old days, but kind of bordering on that.
We cut to Lola Vice watching this with Stephanie Vaquer, and they kind of talk, and Lola's like, oh, maybe, if you retain, maybe I'll get a shot at this title. And Lola's like, and Stephanie walks off because she's got an interview. And that's when JC Jane and Fallon Henley kind of walk in and start laughing at Lola, saying like, oh, try to butter up and be all soft with the champion. Like, oh, that's not going to work, sucking up. And Lola kind of yells back at them and says, oh, yeah, well, you guys are embarrassing because you keep trying to pretend you're an actual team lately. And JC says, yeah, well, Fallon will face you tonight. And Fallon's like, yo, I didn't want to do that, even though JC was kind of the one poking the bear. So Lola versus Fallon is the match later tonight. We kind of saw that the last few weeks with this group, and still no one is telling us where Jasmine Nix is.
Where's Jasmine Nix?
Do you miss her?
Well, they haven't even mentioned her, which makes me concerned. If they were to say like, oh, Jasmine is just doing this week, doing Fatal
She's on
Influence
excursion.
Business. Yeah.
She's on what? Fake people business?
No, I said Fatal Influence Business.
Oh.
No, what was it David Otunga did? He went on assignment. Do you remember Booker T was filling in for 2 weeks because he was on assignment and then he just never appeared on TV again?
He's still on assignment, I think. I saw a video with David Otunga meeting Arnold Schwarzenegger, which I thought was pretty funny, but like recently, because they're both still absolutely jacked.
Right.
So,
but are they mates?
I guess, yeah. I don't know. Maybe he's his lawyer.
But yeah, the lack of mention of Jasmine Nix makes me wonder, unless they're just waiting for her to like show up and return. I don't know. I'm a little concerned.
This show is triggering to me. Being an NXT fan in 2025 is hard enough, and I'll be on it. Like, not everyone watches it. People scoff at you when you say, "Oh, I gotta watch NXT." It's the truth. I'm sorry. I'm not offending. It's just the truth. There's so much wrestling. There's so much TV. There's so much content, and the one thing as a fan is just we know too much about this show that when we watch it and you get connected to a character, or you're like, oh, I see they're trying with this one, and then the next thing they're released. So you're always watching this almost on pins and needles. Like, could that be the last time we see Ashante the Adonis? Could it be? I don't know. It could be. We don't know. So, like, we got to appreciate them or shit on them more while they're still here, while we still have the chance, is all what I'm trying to say. So Jasmine Nix, we hope you're not actually released, but it would be nice if they could tell us where you are, if you are still, in fact, in Fatal Influence. But I hope you know what I'm under. I'm not trying to be mean, but like sometimes it's the last time. And with people getting cut and releases and signing new people, it's really common with this show. So it's normal. It's something we face with as NXT fans. So I thought that I'd bring that to some people's attention. Welcome to my talk.
Yes.
We go to...
If anyone has any info on the whereabouts of Jasmine Nix at Poisonrana Pod.
You could put up wanted posters for a lot of these talents sometimes, and maybe we'll see they'll be in the draft. Maybe we'll see they'll be at your local indie shows. I don't know. But yeah. We see Trick Williams comes out. Oh, are you ready for this? The first musical performance of the night. The Trick Williams rap concert. And out comes Trick Williams with a cameraman following him. He's got a microphone. He says, "Come with me." And a beat starts to play. And Trick Williams does a live rap. And I didn't write all of it down, but I got some key parts of this here as the beat plays. And he's got the best part about this was Booker T doing his ad libs, because he was still doing the like ad libs like he does for his entrance. But people break their neck when they see me. You break your neck for people to see you. And the song here is called Average Joe, because the chorus, as he repeats, is never backing down to an average Joe. And that's when Booker's like, what? Yeah, and doing these ad libs. He mentions Joe Hendry stealing and biting people's things. He says that I'm going to hit you faster than lightning. He says Trick does mess up a little bit here, but they do play like a backing track that I think helped him get back onto track here. So thankfully it wasn't, because he fumbled pretty early and I was like, oh no. Like I stood up like, oh no. But then he like got back on it. And he mentioned something about like something, I'll never fumble. They should have never let you take my spot in the Royal Rumble. And I think that was the first bar that got the crowd like, oh shit. So maybe he's throwing some knowledge there that Joe Hendry stole Trick's Rumble spot.
Trick was also meant to face Randy Orton at WrestleMania.
He then says that you're an average Joe, and that's kind of the chorus of the song. Average Joe, and come Sunday, I'm going to take your gold. But I loved Booker T's ad-libs more than I liked Trick's rap performance. I wouldn't necessarily say this was a banger by all means, but I don't know. What'd you think?
Okay, I didn't catch like every lyric and every line. I did think the chorus I thought was quite catchy. I thought the average Joe line, simple yet effective.
Mm-hmm.
I also liked that he kind of started out the back. I know we have these Lee-fitting like panning shots, but rather than just being in the middle of the ring and then starting like, okay, and here's my rap, kind of bringing in from the back, I quite liked. Did fumble a few times, but I thought it was good. And I actually think this crowd is the perfect setting for things like this. I think we've seen it in the past when they've done this in an arena, like Hit Road. Remember when they did that cypher? And it was fucking awesome. And then they tried it on SmackDown and everyone's like, sorry, what's going on? Who are these? Why are they rapping? And I think there's something about the intimacy of these venues with these crowds who, yeah, they get on our nerves at time, but they really know what their job is as well. And sort of playing up to some of the lines, which are fine. They're not like, he's not cooking him, if you will. But the fact that they're joining in with the O's and stuff, you never get on the main roster when they attempt things like this, because it's just, there's too many people, it's too big, too many families who don't even know what's going on. So I actually thought this was kind of fun.
It was still pretty funny and matches this tone of like heel trick, but kind of not like, you know, super heel. He's a heel, but he's not fully like gone that route. He didn't say anything nasty. Like he didn't cross a line or anything like that I think maybe you could have had him be a little bit like pushing it, but I didn't think he was like, again, he messed up just a little bit, but he really got back on track. And I think he did a good job. I was not expecting this to be live, because rapping on a beat is actually not that hard. It's actually really hard sometimes. And like he slipped up, but that could have gone horribly wrong, as we've seen in other things. So all the power to him. He clearly does have like some sort of, you know, gift at rapping ability. We've seen him do it a little bit in the past in NXT, but at first I was pretty nervous, but at the end of it, I was bobbing along to Average Joe. So we'll see if he puts this up on his streaming.
We'll give a verdict at the end of Joe's performance and compare, because I'm holding back some thoughts until then.
The rap performance, yes. I don't know. Will either of these guys win a Grammy this year from their performances? We'll have to see. I will say though, my highlight was Booker T in the ad-libs. Right. So, yeah. We see Josh Briggs. He's all alone. He's Mr. Lonely. He's just so lonely. He's got nobody. He's asked about Inamura, and he's like, Inamura. Now he starts talking to the guy. Oh, I miss you. I know you might be watching. Oh my God, this guy's sad. This was like laid on. He's like, things aren't the same without you, brother. It was like Inamura had passed away. He's like, I'm lost without you, man. Like, I know you're in a better place right now, but like, it felt, really, he's only in Japan. You can go and visit him. Like, you could text him if you're actually his friend. I don't know. Friends don't give friends.
And we also know from watching NXT that they don't end up watching last week's episode until the next week. So if this is his way of communicating, Inamura's probably not watching it till next week.
So do they even get NXT in Japan? Do we know that for a fact?
Netflix? I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. True, yeah. I also love, he says, things just aren't as fun here. Yeah. It's fucking NXT. And
it's also been a week. Like, it's your first day back, essentially. Like,
I know, again, nitpicking here, but it's our job. Worst gimmick of 2025 is sad Briggs, where he's so sad his friend has left him. Like, dude, your whole thing was trying to be a solo act. And
they just had such a connection.
And you keep bringing it up. That's the difference. You're asking, where's Jasmine Nix? Because they don't want to reference her. This to me is like, he's coming back. He must be coming back. He must be packing up his bags.
No, I want Briggs to bring up Inamura he's like Dusty is to Cody at this point. You know, it'll be him going for a world title in 5 years' time, and he'll still have to bring up his best friend Inamura, who he hasn't seen.
Like, I like how they've been putting focus and featuring this guy, but they've kind of been going about it the whole way wrong. Like, we've been wanting to see some sort of singles push, and I don't know what we've been wanting, but we kind of see something with Briggs, and we watched him before WWE, but just so weird that they're like now really hitting it home that he's sad and misses his friend and this and that. So This is all right before Josh Briggs versus Shawn Spears. And while I'm on nitpicking, Booker T loves to call Shawn Spears the GPS because he'll put in your coordinates and he will get you there. I like that one. The GPS. Right. You think they'll put that on a shirt? The GPS Shawn Spears. I don't know. Is it worse?
He does need another gimmick. Like, how many gimmicks is this guy?
The chairman or the GPS?
He can be the GPS
or
guy.
The Cullen. The culling.
10 guy.
Yeah. What's worse, Booker T trying to get over GPS or Jim Ross with Booger Red?
Booger Red. No, Booger Red is an all-time.
GPS is worse, I'd say.
GPS.
Yeah. Like, I get the joke. I get what you're saying.
The difference is one of them is Shawn Spears, who you're giving a shitty. The other one is The Undertaker, like one of your top guys, and
call him Booger
with
Red.
A legendary career, and be like, now call him Booger Red.
I like it personally. I like Booger Red. Kind of want a shirt that says it. We should sell Booger. I keep saying
we've said this before.
Yeah. Anyway, the GPS Shawn Spears shirts coming soon. It just has Niagara Falls on the thing. It looks like the Sundowner logo. I'll work on it. So Shawn Spears versus Josh Briggs. We have these two slugging it out. I noticed Josh's chest here got really red pretty quickly here. So Spears must have been laying it in there. Spears keeps beating down on him and then tries to like body slam him, but he can't. And then Briggs slams him. And then they're fighting around the ringside. I think Spears trips his leg, so Briggs eats the apron. And then Spears in the ring is beating on him and says, "Things could have been different." Very villain talk here from Spears. Briggs comes back with a sidewalk slam and a standing splash for a near fall, and then gets super kicked to the outside. And this is when the culling are around Brooks, his former friend, and Nico are there. And is this Briggs rolls him up, but Izzy shoves it so that it goes the other way and Shawn Spears gets the win? Or did she shove Briggs into him? But either way, Izzy with an assist here helps Shawn Spears get the win. And if you thought Briggs was sad before, man, he is very sad, borderline depressed here. And if that wasn't bad enough, he's beat up by Nico Vance, Izzy Spears, and his former friend Brooks Jensen as they beat down on him. But wouldn't you know it, Hank and Tank, the tag champs, out for the save to scare them off, and they turn that frown upside down. But yeah, what did we think?
Yeah, I didn't think too much of the match. It was fine. I think it was more leading to the angle at the end. I find it, it's funny, but like Shawn Spears is a good hand. You know what I mean? It's just there isn't. I know that was his whole character and stuff, but it's true. He can go out there and put on a good match, but I just can't really get interested. And I don't really like this culling story. And also I felt here with the beatdown, I thought you could have maybe played some sort of, unwillingness at first from Jensen before laying the boots to his former friend. I really don't feel that they've hit over the head enough that these are former partners, former brothers, because I know they had the matches before, but there was never like a bad split up that led to a rivalry like that. There was the little feud when Jensen was in love and had gone crazy, but then they got back together again. So this felt like the first time that really they've fought, if I remember right, since they've broken up. And I thought there should have been a bigger moment to that. And especially if you're trying to play into the fact that Briggs is depressed and that's why he's prey for Shawn Spears, because he can try to lure him in. I don't know. Something's not clicking with it.
Yeah, it's not the most exciting faction or story. Is like, oh, I mend the broken tools and I'll help you get there and follow me. It's like classic cult wrestling, but not the most pizzazz to it. We've seen Brooks in the past. We're big fans of him. We know he has something, and it almost feels like he's been subdued now to like this more boring kind of character. And I'm willing to see where it plays out for all of the characters in this group, but I was almost expecting them to ask Briggs to join them after this match, and that wasn't the case because they beat the shit out of him. So it feels like it should be building to a
building to a moment where, kind of like
where Brooks decides,
the Rumble with Roman and Sammy, where they're like getting him to basically murder Briggs, and that's when Jensen turns against it. But he just feels like such a
I thought that's what they were going to do today,
right? Like he feels just such a number 3 in this group.
Yeah, it's not necessarily one of my favorite things going. Again, we got to put those coordinates into that GPS and see where it can take us. But I'm not necessarily loving it so far. But Briggs does need something. Like I was expecting Inamura's music to hit and him come out. He was watching in Japan and got on a flight and came down and made it here. Yeah. They later on do announce that a match is made for. We didn't have enough matches yet. So a 6th match is added to the show, the PLE, not the pre-show. The culling, meaning Brooks, Nico, and Spears taking on Hank and Tank and Josh Briggs, is announced for Battleground. I can't say that's necessarily something you needed to add to the show, but it gets all these people on the PLE, and I totally get that. But
maybe there's going to be an angle here as well. Like
Inamura.
That's why we kind of had the family match on the last show, I guess. But we'll see. It doesn't feel PLE worthy, really, but we'll see what they have to offer.
Yeah. I see someone in the chat. Job Nobley says, Abema is the home of WWE in Japan. Abema airs Raw SmackDown with subtitles on a 10-hour delay. NXT does not get subtitles. Oh, man. I'm sure people in Japan are watching wrestling if they want to. They'll figure it out. And shout out BKL in the chat. Love you, brother. Respect. Represent.
Because the subtitler couldn't work out what OTM was saying, probably. So they just gave it up.
Oh, come on. We go to Kelani Jordan backstage, and she is talking to Soul. Well, she tries to talk to Soul, but she's interrupted by ZARIA and says, hey, we still have that match tonight. And remember, if I win, I get a shot at your title. So when I beat you tonight, I'm going to face Soul at the pay-per-view. And before Soul can speak, ZARIA interrupts and says, yeah, well, she hasn't gone back on her word, and it doesn't matter because I'm going to beat you again tonight. And Kelani says, we'll see, and walks off. And Soul is kind of like, you were sort of talking for me, but you got this. So if Kelani beats ZARIA, it will be added to the pay-per-view this Sunday. We see Andre Chase backstage as Uriah Connors and Kale Dixon approach him. He looks pretty upset. I'm wondering if it's because of Kale Dixon's spaghetti strap attire. I don't know if that's what was making him upset, but he looks very nervous for his return to manage Chase U as they get ready for their matchup.
Well, they're against the big lads, aren't they?
Right.
That's fine.
Exactly. They're going to get into the mud. Before we get to that match, we see Thea Hale talking to Tatum Paxley. Once again, Tatum Paxley being very vague and very sad. There's a lot of emotions in NXT lately. I told you it's triggering people because they're not sure if they're going to keep their jobs or their friends are going to keep their jobs. Tatum Paxley says that everyone I love has left me. Everyone has left me and I'm all alone. Jesus,
isn't that so ridiculous, though? Like how you've got Inamura, who's from another company, who was on excursion. Right. His time in NXT's done. He's gone back. Yet we can still talk about who he is. Whereas there's these characters you've written out of your show that you're still paying for another couple of weeks, but you've just got to allude to everyone leaves me, all my friends go away, and just you can't just say, yeah, Gigi and what's it got? Push. Who's the other one? Shotzi.
Yeah. Or and her husband, boyfriend, fiance, partner, I think that's what she's also
Javier, yeah.
Yeah. The body.
Yeah.
So Thea is like, hey, I know what you're going through. You know, at one point, everyone I loved and like, you know, disappeared. And sometimes you just got to be on your own. Should be noted, Thea Hale's rocking an eye patch. Very Snake Plissken. And this is when she's attacked by a hypnotic, a wild, imagine attacking someone with your butt out of nowhere.
It's like you know how Roddy flies in with the knee or the sick kick or something? It's like
Jada
that,
with a butt.
With a bum.
Yeah.
It's great.
Wrestling. The hypnotic connects and Thea's just laid out there now with an eye patch laying down backstage. And Jada says, you know, Tatum, I do know how you feel too. And Tatum's like, whoa, really? hell no, and then walks off. I did laugh at that by Jada, but I assume we're going to a Thea versus Jada match possibly next week as well.
Yeah, it is weird that they continue to push Jada as a pretty mean heel because she's just so popular right now.
Yeah, you could flip her, but I guess like that's going to turn people. People love Thea down, especially the PC. At least, times have changed. Things have moved on.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe Jada's the hotter act now. We'll have to see.
But I did like how Thea was like, yeah, like everyone in my school keeps getting fired as well.
Yeah. It's like, don't worry.
My professor kept gambling my education away multiple times.
And don't even get me started about Bodie Hayward. That's what she says. OTM versus Chase U2. That's what I'm calling them. The workshopping name.
Oh, I thought you meant for the second time, the match.
Chase U2. The band. Chase U 2.0, I guess is an easier way to say it. I don't know who he's referring to, but Corey Graves says, and I quote, "Never trust a guy who gets a haircut at Costco." First of all, I didn't know they had haircuts at Costco. Second of all, love that very much. Shout out the Costco guys. How are they doing?
No.
They still alive? They still kicking it? The Rizzlers split from them, and hope they're okay.
Got too big for his boots, did he?
Rizzlers just killing it these days, but I bet he gets his haircut at Costco. So this match starts off. Chase, you get beat down on pretty quickly. I should say this is Lucian Price and Bronco Nima versus. I can't believe I got that right without even having that written down. Don't tell me. Uriah Connors and Kale Dixon.
There we go.
I remembered because Corey Graves makes fun of kale and says it's one of the worst vegetables, and Vic Joseph takes very offense to that. I do also like kale. It's good in salads. It's good when you blend it.
Yeah, you got to be. Sometimes it's a little dry and crunchy, like
kale chips.
You've got to do something with it. But yeah, I'm okay with. Kale.
I don't think
it's no
kale,
spinach. But
yeah, I like kale. Just so you can do so much with it. I don't think the issue itself is kale. I think the issue is actually using Kale as your name. I think is the problem where we should be discussing here because it's not a great name, Kale Dixon. So Kale is getting beat up here. And it's Price who's like throwing Uriah around. Eventually, though, Dixon does come back. He hits a desperation DDT, even though the crowd are chanting OTM. I was definitely shocked to hear the crowd not chant for Chase U, that because they know it's the new class version of Chase U. It's not the original. This is when Nima blocks a series of moves and again throws them around. They send one of the others out, and then they hit a suplex lift into like an Alabama slam double team. We've seen them hit this move before, and it's 1, 2, 3. OTM make very light work of Chase U2, and I don't know what do we think? Are they going back to the classroom? Or are they going? I don't like whatever this was at all. Except shout out that beautiful Alabama assist slam from OTM. I wouldn't say I got enough out of this to say, oh, OTM have improved on their time off, but I didn't also enjoy seeing this new version of Chase U. So I didn't know what I just watched.
Yeah, I'm kind of I've never really been particularly into OTM, and I think them trying to build them up as this monster tag team you should be scared to face. They didn't have the same feel as when it was them doing this with the Wyatts, or as much as we hated them, the way the characters were presented, even the Ascension way back when, these are just two blokes who've been in NXT, and now it's almost like they're presenting them as these crazy monsters, which I've never really felt they've been billed as. And there's intrigue in seeing Kale Dixon and Uriah Connors for the first time, but as it's a squash match, we really got nothing out of them. It was just, a Chase U entrance with new faces and then a squash match. So I didn't really get anything out of this. OTM, they've still got to kind of prove themselves to me. And they're clearly the team that they're going to start pushing towards Hank and Tank after Battleground. But I can't say that sounds particularly interesting to me. But, maybe once the matches happen, they've improved, and I'll get into them. Who knows?
Yeah, I can't say I'm like the tag division is what's been weak. We had Fraxium on one hell of a run, and now they're doing the God's work on SmackDown to build that epic tag division right now, it seems. But we don't have a whole lot down here, and if these two are kind of the ones in this pond of tag teams, I'm not necessarily fishing for it. Didn't love it, but hopefully, I just like you had a good Chase U. You had one. We had them, and then you could have given some other gimmick to these two guys. I don't know what it would have been, but it's weird also because I've watched I watched Wrestle Kingdom, and the other Finley, he came out with like a machine gun, a fur coat in the Tokyo Dome, and then this guy who looks like him just comes out like Chase U. I'm like, whoa, it's weird. How many kids has that Finley got, by the way? He's got a few too. He's gonna have his own bloodline one day, but anyway.
I mean, it's only 2, isn't it? Who else is there?
Oh.
I only know 2. Do you know?
Well, Hornswoggle, you know.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
I thought that was McMahon's, no?
Yeah, and then was it later revealed that it was Finley?
Wasn't it Mr. Anderson?
Mr.
Kennedy?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah. We see
there's 3 children.
3 Finleys?
3 Finleys.
And they love to fight.
We
see Miles Bourne, the number 1 contender, against Obafemi and the NXT Championship this Sunday. Miles makes his way to the ring all by himself, no quarter catch crew with him, and out comes the champion, Obafemi, the ruler, face-to-face here before their match. And Oba starts off with the microphone, says that you fight many battles. You've impressed here in NXT, and it's honorable of you to be out here without your buddies. And says that you fight for a cause, you fight for struggles and people with limitations. And I find that admirable, but you are very misleading because life is cruel, Miles. Do I have to remind you? It says that this is not a Disney movie and there won't be happy endings and your dreams won't come true. So the only dream that you'll have to celebrate was you winning the Battle Royal, but your dream will die when you face the ruler, the destroyer, because I am merciless, and says that you want me to treat you like everyone else, so be it. That was his part of the promo. I thought that was pretty strong. Obafemi seems very comfortable on the microphone. He's becoming quite a complete package as far as NXT comes, and I don't know how long until people on the main roster, once fans find this guy, I feel like he's going to be up right to the top, I'd say.
Yeah, I like his style. I think it's quite unique to him. You don't hear too many promos like this, and it's all stuff that, said by someone else would sound incredibly cheesy, but I think he's just got such a aura about him and a great voice and a great presence that it makes these sort of theatrical Thanos-esque speeches sound really good in a wrestling promo.
So Miles has a rebuttal here. He says that the no quarter catch crew have my back, but I wanted to do this on my own. And he says that through these struggles and limitations that he's got an entire community behind his back as well, and says that he's doing this for every kid who's felt different, and says that every parent or every child that just doesn't fit in, because this is more than winning a title. I'm making a statement. So write me off all you want. Write me off like everyone did. Write me off in training. Write me off like coaches who didn't believe in me, but I proved them all wrong and I made it here. So yeah, this isn't a Disney movie, but every ruler falls. And I'm hard of hearing, but on Sunday, everyone's going to hear the 1, 2, 3 of me beating you to the mat and taking that title. And then they drop microphones and he goes to leave. And as he leaves, Obafemi turns around and is attacked by Jasper Troy with the chains and all. I don't know if they fell off during this, but he hits him with a hoe train, an E-train here to Oba, and then a boss man, a black hole slam to Obafemi, and then rolls away as Miles goes to help Oba up, and Oba brushes him away. And then Miles picks up the NXT title with which you shouldn't do. And then gives it to Oba as they stand face to face. So I guess start with, I liked Miles' promo. I thought he was great. I said it last week that I do think it's pretty admirable. I do think it's actually very cool that they're bringing in his partial deafness into a storyline and talking about other people. And I think that's actually awesome and amazing. And I thought, he does have a different sounding voice than most wrestlers we're used to seeing on TV, but he's still got the balls to go out there and cut promos like this. So I got to say hats off. The best solid promo to promote a world title match, and definitely super proud of that guy doing that. I thought he sounded great.
Yeah. I liked him. I like his story. I think he's really stepping up, even down to, the suit, like just looking at how both these guys are dressed. I am getting the dress for the job you want kind of vibes out of both of them. And I thought he looked great. His, he's shaved his hair a little like closer to the bone as well. He was looking sharp. He's like, we kind of saw it with Kyle Fletcher. Just as soon as he started being put in a bigger position, he started to level up. And I'm seeing that with Miles here.
They're similar. They look similar.
There is similarity. Yeah. Nitpicking, I thought there were a few lines he said that were pretty much word for word from his promo last week without it necessarily trying to be a catchphrase that he's trying to get over. So it's fine. Obviously, this is part of the story, like your deafness, and you're doing it for those like kids out there with disabilities and stuff as well. Absolutely hit that home, but be wary of using exactly the same language. And I think if you were to then cut a promo next week similar, you'd be like, okay, is there anything else you got? So that was a nitpick, but I liked it between these two guys.
And then what do you think of the attack?
Yeah, like I really didn't watch this show. The episodes I did see, this guy didn't stand out to me particularly. But I watched very little
of LFG. You mean
of LFG? I think as a way to just like make an impact with someone, I don't mind this idea. You've established him as he's won this other show. Why not throw him right in the deep end and sink or swim? See what he's capable of. I really have nothing to judge apart from this beatdown.
I feel like maybe it's just because you're trying to promote this match and then it's like shoehorning this attack in there. It's like, hey, can we just focus on that? I thought maybe it was just a little overbooked, but
you could have done it on Sunday.
You could have done it on Sunday. I don't know. I think maybe it's because then you got the moment of Miles holding and picking up the belt and giving it to him. Like they wanted to do that for some reason. So I don't know. I liked both promos from both guys. I think the match this Sunday will be really good. I don't see Oba losing, but I do think that he'll give Miles his respect after the match, and we'll get a bit of a standing ovation, I'm sure. But I'm looking forward to an awesome match between the two. And Miles is stepping into some big shoes, I think, filling in, like going from not being featured on too many PLEs to being featured in a tag match that really stole the show whenever that was a few months ago, and now being propelled into this. Like, good for him. But we go from that to Ava backstage. She's very upset. How do you know?
Angry?
Because she's screaming. So many emotions tonight on NXT. The emotions running wild. Ava is upset with Paige and Saints. She's got them in her office with all the security, and they're yelling at each other. Ricky says, "I'll destroy you," and Ethan Page is like, "Yeah, well, I'll beat you up." And they're talking about how they want to fight each other so bad, and that Ava starts putting her foot down and screams, "I'm the one who makes the matches. So Ricky, next week you'll defend the title because I said so against Ethan Page on NXT here at the Performance Center." So next Tuesday, not this Sunday, Ricky Saints versus Ethan Page for the North American title.
And the winner of that gets Shawn Legacy.
And the winner of that will go on to face Shawn Legacy. Yes. I didn't care for this too much. I don't like the GM stuff that we've been doing. I don't quite get why she has to, why she's so upset that Ricky's calling his spots before her. It's weird because Ricky's kind of the baby face in this scenario. And I don't know. I guess we're getting to that match, which I guess should be good. But.
Well, she's more mad that like they screwed up the the triple threat, right? That they were fighting during that match and stuff, I guess.
Right.
But I don't know. I thought Ava's performance was a little stronger here than usual. We're getting the match next week. That's the main thing. That's a pretty big match for TV. Do you see there being this being the end of this feud, or do you see them continuing after the match next week?
Like, if you're teasing Shawn Legacy gets a match probably the week after, maybe there's a chance Ethan Page does get this title. I don't know. Do we propel Ricky? I feel like Ricky has been cold product really since winning the title. Like, he came in pretty hot and then won the title, sure, but hasn't necessarily felt like a big.
I mean, this Page feud hasn't been the most interesting thing.
Yeah,
I don't think.
I mean, this is Rampage, baby. This is Collision at its fun. Like, these two guys have fought, I'm sure, on Rampage a hell amounts of times, and here it is there, and it's still not necessarily clicking. I like both guys, but I do think we should get away from these two, and we're gonna get this match and maybe a series of matches, but I'm not sure. And do we eventually move one of these guys off? Like, Ethan Page has already been champion here. He could easily be on the main roster. He's definitely a way well enough talker to be on SmackDown or Raw, but
yeah, whether we see him in the draft that I think is coming up soon,
I would definitely imagine,
or SummerSlam time, maybe.
It's just weird because, like, you have Ricky Saints comes in and wins that title pretty quickly, but again, I'd say I wouldn't necessarily say has been a hot like story or character in NXT, but he's like, you could position him to be NXT champion within this year, like stories with that. Whereas then they bring in Jeff Cobb and change his name and just put him on SmackDown right away. It's like, I would have maybe had Ricky just show up and cut promos. I feel like that outsider gimmick maybe would have been a bit more interesting because you did it for the first week on NXT and then you got him the title really quickly, and just feel like something is fizzled there. The interest of maybe it is this Ethan Page.
I think it's just the booking. Like, his feuds have been Lexis King and Ethan Page.
Yeah, it's not good.
And the Ethan Page stuff has gone on since his debut, really. So that it's been quite a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same issues we've said before about just lack of interesting people in the men's division. And I think they are starting to build that up. But I guess you want Ricky to kind of be the flag bearer of the North American division for now. He'll get in that main event scene, I'm sure. Also, yeah. I don't think it was a bad idea having him here first before main roster. I think
he could easily pick back up. I'm just saying it's been a little like lackluster for what we've gotten. But then there's no one for him to have big feuds with because we don't. I think that's the thing.
Shallow. Like, I think he's been fine, but it just hasn't been.
Yeah,
you really want him someone who can go toe to toe with him, like on the mic and a big deep story. And Paige is good on the mic. It's just maybe gone on too long, this thing.
I feel like both these guys do not need to be in NXT, really, compared to like a lot of the other maybe characters that we have here. So we go from that. We go to Tony D'Angelo, a very Soprano style video here. He's talking about his match with Stax this Sunday. He says the worst thing about betrayal is it comes from your friends and not your enemies. And I tried, Stax. I tried to understand. Why did you do this to the family? We ran the family together. We came up together. We rose to power together, but you wanted the spotlight. Some of the clips here when like a guy, Tony was getting the bill and it shows Stax like in slow-mo and black and white. Like, oh my God. Ridiculous.
It's like all these dinners we've seen in NXT.
The shitty pastas.
Past and
yeah.
Stax just like.
Stax just there. Yeah. Any footage
it's trying to play up that he's like doing these sly looks in the dialogue, but he's not. He's just happy Stax. To be eating pasta,
wearing his leather hat inside a restaurant. Yeah. He says, but you wanted the spotlight, but you got no guts, you got no brains, and now Stax, you made your bed and you're gonna lay in it, and it's gonna be me Sunday breaking your face. So family versus family. I think we kind of said we'll definitely do predictions and stuff maybe at the end, but I see the family showing up to help Stax here. They showed the clips of him in the attack outside the safe house and still no reference to Luca. So I have a feeling the family might show up as a surprise and Tony thinks they're there to back him up, but it's going to be a Goodfellas ending where it might not work out for Tony. I don't know.
Yeah, we need to see we assumed he killed Luca, Remember, he was like, I'll explain it all to you on Tuesday. Come and meet me here. And maybe we think like Luke was like, oh shit, because he's about to shoot him. But we'll see the end of the clip. And it's more like him showing a photo of Tony doing something dastardly. And he's like, man.
He just says, we got this. We don't need him anymore.
Yeah.
We don't need him anymore. We'll send him to NXT Europe. That's where they'll go. And they'll run NXT Italy. That's all we'll get. But yes, Tony versus Stacks this Sunday. I'm shocked we're not getting some sort of like mafia street fight, some sort of Tampa street fight.
I think we'll get that down the line. I don't see
do
it
a
being
few
a
of
one
these.
and done. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. We go to our next match. We see Lola Vice taking on Fallon Henley from earlier tonight. That was set up. We have Lola who's putting Fallon in different submissions. There's a stretching her arms and keeps going to go for arm submissions here. There was a brilliant counter from Lola where Fallon goes in for this one move and Lola's like 3 steps ahead of her and counters this into another cross arm breaker, which was very nice. I guess the MMA background definitely coming into play. JC on the outside is like, you got this, girl. You got this, Fallon, just doing her best cheerleading. Lola comes back with a head scissors and then a crazy kick to send Fallon to the outside. As we go to picture-in-picture, this is when Vic Joseph says, no, I'm not joking. Someone in production better bring Booker T some water because he has had way too much coffee and not enough decaf, I guess referring to him somewhat perving over Lola Vice. This is when Fallon's now in control all through picture-in-picture and hits like a low running forearm, a sliding D, if you will, and then does her running face buster. But then Lola comes back, reminds everyone that she is Latina, does a running butt attack, and then JC gets up on the apron and tries to get involved, but instead it's Fallon who gets shoved into JC, and then the spinning back fist, and Lola gets the 1, 2, 3, and then shakes her bum, and as she wins the match. But you know what? A pretty fun match. Lola Vice has been someone who's kind of been cooled off since we brought in the big 3 here in NXT with all these like big signings and stuff. But I think low key she's been improving. And like I said, some of these like submissions and stuff, I can really get behind. So I think they've got someone like they've used her and propped her up into title matches and stuff. But I think we'll be okay if we do lose our Vicaires and like our Roxannes that we've lost and stuff, because Lola's definitely improving, I think.
Yeah, I thought this was good between them. Lola is improving, and I think it's a shame they did call her off. I feel that we're getting a Stephanie feud down the line, and I imagine it's probably going to be Lola turning heel on her. So
yeah,
because she said like 2 weeks in a row now, like, oh, I want to be next, that kind of thing. Got to win over Fallon, so that kind of puts her in like contention. But yeah, I like both these two. Fallon, I think, has just such, down to her entrance and stuff, such great presence about her as well. And I really hope they do more with her. If we're doing this breakup of Fatal Influence and having a little feud between her and JC, let's do it. And really, I'd like to see Fallon actually contend for the title down the line.
Yeah, I'm kind of worried that they're teasing this breakup. They're not mentioning Jasmine Nix. Then like, will this cease to exist? Will JC be used on the main roster? Will Fallon be used on the main roster? I'm not quite sure. I really, we have a soft spot for Fallon Henley. We're really big fans, and I think this group was good for all of them. And I don't know if you would break them up, but why tag teams when they don't really focus on tag teams anyways? So I'm not quite sure where we go with them, but I am a fan of Fallon. I am a fan of Lola, and I think they could still be good use here in NXT. So I think Lola's improving, and she had a really good 2024, and I feel like they have cooled her off a little bit, but I think we can go back to her, and this is a first good little start here. But we go from that to Stephanie Vicaire, her sit-down interview here, where she's talking about a little bit about her history before coming to WWE. She said she's wrestled everywhere, shows photos and videos of her saying she wrestled in Mexico. And she said that she cried, she bled, blood, sweat, tears. She said she even swept up to stay places. And she said she's gone through it all and worked very hard to get here. But it was not a sad time. It was necessary to get here. You hear that, kids? Hard work, hard times. She says that it's been a dream come true, though. The first time I ever watched Rey Mysterio wrestle, I knew I was born to be a star, a WWE superstar. I've had late nights in Japan, early mornings in Mexico, but it's all been worth it. And says that Grace may be my toughest challenge yet. She was the top in TNA and she wants to be the top here, but I made my own way to get here and I made my own hell to get here. But I conquer continents and, well, Grace will find out. When you get close to hell, you will burn in the flame. Great interview here, and especially the hell and the burning and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, English, her second language, but a taped like sit-down interview was easy to maybe chop up and edit and put things here and there. And I really like this.
Yeah, well, I kind of liked the explanation of her character, essentially, you know, the devil's horns and that kind of thing. Here, she's saying, you know, I grew up and I had a pretty rough life and I consider it as me pulling myself out of hell. So I'm comfortable being there. And, you know, it's a metaphor. But I know that sounds obvious, but, you know, other characters in wrestling will be like, no, I am an actual demon, you know? So I kind of appreciated the explanation here of that. But it did make me laugh. She's kind of going over like, yeah, Jordynne Grace is a great wrestler and she's accomplished a lot and I'm going to kill her and drag her to hell. And you're like, whoa, okay there. But yeah, I'm enjoying Stephanie and I think you can, she does connect, I think, with the audience despite the language barrier. And obviously this is a way to go to, it's easier than in front of a crowd, but I think these things work fine. Like I think they've worked on the main roster when sort of Nakamura's done it, but just it's Nakamura and I can't really be interested. So I think you can absolutely get your Stephanies and Julias and characters like that over with this style.
I think, like, obviously she wants to get some practice in with English, and she's someone who could easily be on the main roster already. Like, we saw her on the Raw after Mania against Io in that dream match, and it was awesome. So, like, you could easily strap a rocket to her right away, but maybe you do want to keep her down here. Like, so I'm torn if I don't necessarily, if Grace wins, it means Stephanie's going to go to Raw or SmackDown right away because they've already pulled up some people pretty quickly. But at the same time, like, hey, why not keep her down here a little bit to have this run? You could go back to Grace. I'm not sure what you would do with Grace at this point either, because she's someone who could totally be on Raw or SmackDown too. So, like, she runs circles around some of these women. So,
would a Jordynne Grace heel run work? You know,
true,
if Stephanie wins this one relatively clean, and then Jordynne, like, you know, make a longer program out this that could maybe go on till SummerSlam, but with a heel Jordynne Grace, perhaps.
Sure. Yeah, that's possible. And then that's when she finally takes it. But like, either of these two do not need to be in developmental, but they could be the champion and run the division and be like the king or queen, rather, of this women's division, because both of them are top of the game, like two top women's wrestlers in the world. So I'm really looking forward to this match. It should really bang. I'm really looking. This is the one for Sunday.
I feel this will be the main event.
Yeah.
If it's not this, I guess the TNA title maybe will main event, which would be odd.
Interesting.
But I see this being the closer.
We get a video for Dark State. Remember them? Remember Dark State?
Yes.
Yeah. They have a video. They said that they're all going through talking, but they're talking about the other person in a weird, like, smoker's corner circle here. They say that they start with Lennox, who started the whole thing, and then he's talking about how Cutler James is like a stoic, but he'll pray and kill you alive. He talks about Big Osiris and how he seeks and destroys, and then he talks about Saquon Sugars and how when he opens his mouth, people listen and say, "Together we are deadly." And what are we? We see through your illusions and all this rip-off Temu Shield shit. The only thing was missing was justice. And they talk about, do they even have a match at this pay-per-view? No, they don't, right? Yeah. I'm really over this already. This is very, like, copy and paste of a few different things. I can't say I completely forgot about them until this video. So
I think, I like I've felt before. I think Saquon Sugars and Dion Lennox I think they've got something. I think they sound good. I think Dion Lennox, we've seen some impressive stuff in ring. I haven't seen a great deal of Sugars yet, but I know he impressed on what was it he was on? Was it Level Up or whatever people like Cena had seen him on before? I know we're talking highly. I feel they've got something. I find Cutler James incredibly bland. It's like someone has stretched Cash Wheeler and somehow made him blander. And Osiris Griffin. I just feel these four guys just look like blokes. And I feel that about quite a lot of the new people they're bringing in. I know they're moving away from gimmicks and want these, like, you know, them to feel more like human beings. But I feel like with that Jasper Troy guy who came in, I feel like with these guys, they just look like blokes. And there's nothing that's particularly stand out about them. And I feel there's got to be a line between, yeah, you can't all have just goofy wrestling characters, but you can't all just be
card players,
people as
gamblers.
well. I don't know. There's like a middle ground you've got to find that makes you interesting. And I don't think any of these people have found it yet.
It's like they wear the masks. They put the masks on at the end of the promo. It's like Shield. It's supposed to be glitchy. Like, did they hack into this thing? Like, it's not interesting. And I don't think it's been the best run. And we keep saying, okay, let them prove us wrong. And like, they could reheat, I'm sure, but I don't say it's pretty lazy is what I'm getting out of it. Again, it's Shield. Literally, I've used Temu, but like, they look like they buy their stuff off. It's like those face masks. It doesn't look creative. We've seen it literally before in WWE's NXT. So it's just not as good. So the Hounds of Justice, you are not. We'll see. Maybe they'll show up at the pay-per-view. Maybe Jasper will join them. I don't know. We go to our next match. If Kelani wins, she gets a title match. If ZARIA wins, maybe she gets a title match against Soul's North American title. ZARIA versus Kelani. Great hair from Kelani. We never see her usually with the fro out like this.
Looked great.
It looked awesome. And same with Soul with the Barbie outfit almost. The pink. Yeah. So right away, ZARIA is charging at Kelani, hits her with these throwing Germans here. Looked great. But then Kelani kicks her to the outside and hits like a twister press. So they're going at it right away. There's a crossbody, a Rana, and then goes for a second one. But then on the outside, ZARIA throws Kelani into the like guardrail there as we go to picture-in-picture. Kelani does a sunset flip when we come back, but it's blocked. They're slugging it back and forth. There's a back cartwheel into a back elbow. And then a huge DDT on ZARIA. I thought ZARIA was hurt from this one, but she seemed A-okay. But nasty-looking tornado DDT for a 2 count. Then ZARIA gets up and goes for like a backpack stunner, but instead runs and does a cannonball while Kelani is on her back for that move. This was crazy. The crowd starts to chant.
Yeah, I don't think I've really seen something like this before.
No.
It looked great.
Man.
Yeah, it was
crazy.
Awesome.
So the crowd are going nuts for this, and Soul is like, wow, that was pretty nuts. Eventually, it's ZARIA who gets sent to the outside again, but this time Soul on the outside catches ZARIA and puts her down and is like, oh, you're okay, allowing Kelani to kick Soul into ZARIA, sending Soul down, and then sends, then Soul gets up on the apron and is like, yo, Kelani, what the fuck? And then ZARIA accidentally spears Soul off the apron, allowing Kelani to roll ZARIA up and get the 1, 2, 3. And it is official. At Battleground, Soul Ruka will defend her North American title against Kelani Jordan. But I thought this was a pretty fun little match here. I like ZARIA, I like Soul, and I like Kelani. And we've seen Soul and Kelani part 1. We were there at Heatwave. And I think we're going to like part 2 even better. So don't sleep on this match on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm glad they're going to this. I think it's time for a rematch between these two, and I'm glad they're not forgetting about Kelani since she's been the champion. They're still featuring her. I think once you've moved up, we were just talking about your Stephanies of the world, and obviously Julia and Roxanne moving up. These 3 women here, they'll be in the main event women's title picture soon. Yeah, I would think. Like the match, I thought there were some really cool spots, especially that cannonball spot. I noticed this week on commentary, they were pushing way more that like I was getting the sense almost that, you know, Zaria's in love with Soul that they're pushing. Whereas before I've seen it as just like Zaria was, you know, maybe a bit jealousy or like acting up, like speaking on her behalf. Whereas it felt very, especially the way commentary was putting it over, was, you know, overly protective of her. And the way, like, when they almost bumped into each other, they were stood sort of looking at each other. Oh, are you okay, for so long? And I don't know. I don't know if we're going to get sort of Mickie James territory with it.
Golden Lovers?
I hope not. No, because I don't think it's reciprocated from.
Like we said it since they were teaming, where you were really like hating on this team of like.
I still do.
Yeah,
yeah.
I like it's. I hope it's not the Chase U thing that we were saying. Like, oh, one day Duke's gonna turn on Chase, but like one day Zaria has to turn on Soul, and when she does, she's gonna go like full beast mode. She's gonna destroy her. She's gonna kill her. So we're gonna play long game for that. But while we're doing that, it's kind of Kelani who has a bit more of the heel edge going into this Soul Ruka match. So Soul was kind of stuck in the middle there, but I do expect a great match, and I do think I do see Soul retaining, and maybe even Zaria like gets involved and helps Soul, and she's kind of like, "Yo, what are you doing? Like, I didn't need that." And we will go to Soul versus Zaria, and I do think that match would be pretty crazy considering the flippy stuff Soul can do and how Zaria could be the base god for her.
I feel like we're going to go to sort of what they did with Tatum and Lyra, with Zaria just being obsessed and eventually that causing the breakup and the heel turn and makes her more of a monster. But yeah, is there any chance Kelani could win this? Does Zaria accidentally cost her the title?
I don't know. I think too soon, right? Like,
it feels pretty. What was it? Mania weekend she won this.
Yeah, like I think we should give it some time. Yeah, absolutely. And I do think Zaria going after Soul for that title would be an eventual pretty good match and a big match you could lead to. But not sure what we do with Kelani, though. She's won this title. Would she ever go for the other title eventually? Maybe.
I think once, I think she should be, whether it's Stephanie or Jordynne Grace, be in that mix.
Yeah, the match would be good. The matches definitely would be good. We go to our main event. Joe Hendry in concert. Joe Hendry's going to sing. He's got his guitar. He's got the crowd. They're waving their hands side to side as his music plays. We believe in Joe Hendry. And he starts to play. He says, this is going to be the second. I know you guys saw a musical performance earlier. And then he jokes, if you want to call it that. And then says, I got a song for you. And I'd say it's very Everlong-esque here. The guitar chords, pretty similar to Everlong. The beginning, at least. And I have some of the stuff Joe Hendry sings here. He says, Trick was the whole champ of NXT. Shame he couldn't hold the title for more than a couple of weeks. He says people used to be with you for years, and now you're just the champ of producing tears. And then he says, here's some footage from your better days. You were just a crappy sidekick to Carmelo Hayes. And then it shows a video of Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams at the NXT Haunted House. If you remember, we were there. We went through you weren't there, through the trenches of NXT 2.0, but Davie and I were. And we see Trick and Melo inside the haunted house when he sees the zombies and he's scared. But instead, it's Joe Hendry who's imposed.
He's Dexter Lumis here, isn't he?
Yeah, he's like edited the thing so it's him scaring Trick, the classic meme of Joe Hendry, and Trick screaming like a baby, running out of the haunted house. As it cuts back to Hendry singing, and then he's singing all these songs, and he keeps playing. He said, "You said whoop that Trick," and everybody else said Mello's bitch. And then he continues to sing that song over and over again. And the crowd starts to sing, even to the point where the crowd themselves are singing it when he's not. Whoop that Trick, but Mello's bitch. He keeps repeating it when Trick comes out with a microphone, interrupts the concert, and says, no, that's all in the past. And nobody else lives in the past, just you. Even as the crowd start to chant, Mello's bitch, Mello's bitch. And he says, no, I'm not talking about Mello's bitch. I'm talking about average Joe. And then he attacks Joe Hendry, hits him with the Cyclone boot, goes to set up for something like the trick shot. But in midair, Joe, with his best Jeff Jarrett impression, smashes the guitar over the knee of Trick and then hits the standing ovation choke slam as he holds up his NXT title, grabs the microphone, and sings one last bar of a song. At the end of the day, Joe Hendry is the champion of TNA as NXT goes off the air. Wow.
I really liked the finish here. I thought the Joe out of nowhere with the guitar to the knee,
the crescendo,
I thought it was great. I thought he had been taken out, and I thought the visual just looked great of it smashing against Trick's knee and him getting the upper hand. I gotta say, I think Trick won the musical contest.
Whoa!
In my opinion, again, I thought Joe's lines were a little soft, and there were a couple of times. What was the? Read me some back again.
They weren't great.
They didn't really rhyme.
They weren't great. No, my issue with both of them, with Trick's and Joe's, was that they were pretty soft, but they both managed to do something that I am a big fan of rap beefs. There's a big one going on right now. Shout out Joey Badass. But if you can make a hot song, like a catchy song, we've seen Kendrick Lamar, that song is played everywhere. But Trick had a great chorus, and I thought Joe had a great chorus, but I wasn't a big fan of their actual verses.
And it's what I never really liked about John Cena's rapping. And I think it's what I don't like about Joe Hendry. It's very say a line and stop, and then say a line with the punchline. And I know you're trying to, like, I know you want everyone to hear. I know you want everyone to register what you're saying. Yeah. But it just feels so basic. And I think this guy can play. Like, I'd like more of a song.
Yeah, I still feel robbed from, like, his videos on Instagram, TikTok, all the like meme stuff is what got him to here. Like, what made him famous, the Joe Hendry that people know, is these videos. And ever since he's appeared on NXT, I haven't necessarily found they hit the way he has in the past. I would say this was better than the last time he was doing this on NXT, but I think it's what saved it for me was the Mellows bitch part. And again, what saved it for Tricks was the average Joe. So they really got their hook, guys. They're hooks. Yeah. They're hook boys, because you need other people. You need some features. You need some ghost writers. I don't know. Cage Match has it at I don't know where I'd rank. Let us know who was better, Trick Williams or Joe Hendry here today. It's probably just preference that will have our winner, but I might lean to Trick.
I'm leaning to Trick.
I'm leaning to Trick, and I'm also leaning on Trick to walk out Sunday as TNA champion and make history, as the TNA championship will be defended on a WWE PLE, which is absolutely crazy. Think back to all the years of watching the TNA title being defended on TNA shows, and here it is on WWE TV. And I do predict that Trick Williams will be the first guy to make history and take it from TNA. He said so in his song here. He's going to take this title from this brand. Do you think that's going to happen?
I think it is, yeah. And I think you build this to rematch further down the line, and Joe can win his title back unless Trick transfers to someone else. But I see it more Joe getting his title back down the line. But I think it works with Trick winning it for now.
Also,
and
like Joe
holding this title hostage for a few
weeks. Yeah. Like, I think you could just see it in Joe's face that this is happening. He's the guy who's got to give the title. He'll go down in history as you lost the title to a WWE superstar. Therefore, I imagine Trick's going to show up at some TNA shows in the near future and way more cross promotion and all stuff. I know they did tease the stuff with Santana. They could go towards that. Like, there's probably, I mean, who knows? Maybe Joe just starts being the WWE NXT guy for going forward. I'm not sure this whole agreement, but there you go. That was NXT. There was some good stuff. There was some bad stuff. I liked some of the wrestling. That opening match was really fire. I really thought the wrestling was fantastic. All three like high flyers. It was really good. And then I liked Kelani and ZARIA. Was pretty fun, but I thought they did some good videos of On paper, not the strongest looking card this Sunday, but I thought they did an okay job of reminding me that, hey, some of these matches should be pretty good.
Yeah, I thought the opening match was my favorite thing on the show.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed ZARIA versus Kelani, but just not overly keen on the whole story with Soul and ZARIA right now. I thought this was a fine show. I think we've had better episodes. I think it's an interesting looking card because I think a lot of it is, right, let's see if these people can prove themselves. And I'm kind of for that. A lot of them do step up. I'm always excited for a NXT PLE.
So NXT Battleground this Sunday, Hank and Tank and Briggs taking on the Culling, Jensen, Vance, and Spears. The Culling winning this one?
I think so. And I think Josh is going to contemplate life,
Thanks. I feel like the Culling will get a tag title match from getting the victory in this match on Tuesday or something like that. Tony D'Angelo taking on Stax, Revenge for the Family.
Ooh.
We said earlier, we kind of under the assumption that the family are going to all turn on Tony D. So I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, so Stax winning this one.
Yeah, I've seen The Sopranos. I know how it works out. It's not going to end well. Cue the Don't Stop Believing by the end of the match. That's what we're going to need. And it'll just cut away, and you'll have to just guess what happened to Tony D'Angelo before he gets drafted to SmackDown. We were just talking about it, but the TNA Championship, Trick versus Joe. Are we both saying Joe is losing this title?
I think we're both saying Trick Williams, yeah.
Guys, TNA is losing their title this Sunday on WWE. Oba Femi putting his NXT title on the line against Miles Bourne. We love you, Miles, but I don't think it's happening this Sunday.
No, not yet. I think Obafemi, Miles isn't going to be the one to beat Obafemi. But I think if you can make a compelling match and have some great near falls for him, let's try and elevate him from this match, even in the loss.
I think we can be pleasantly surprised by this match. And again, a respect angle and everything, but I'm looking forward to a hard-hitting match from Miles and Oba. I think Miles is going to go the distance, but not quite get it done. But I'm definitely looking forward to it. And then what I think will be the main event, Stephanie Vicaire versus Jordan Grace. Oh, sorry. There's also Sol Ruca and Kalani, but Stephanie Vicaire versus Jordan Grace, NXT Women's Championship. If Stephanie retains, she's definitely staying down here, but is it Jordan's time?
Not yet. I think Stephanie wins this. As I said, I think you could build more of a series out of this and have a Jordan Grace heel turn in the process.
And we're both saying Sol Ruca retains?
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. Let us know. Do you agree, disagree? From tonight's episode of NXT, the go home for Battleground. We will be live right after the show, right here at Post Wrestling on the YouTube. So join us if you choose NXT with us, or maybe you just want to tune in to support. We will be live right after Battleground, WWE Battleground. And of course, we will be back next Tuesday as well for the fallout of Battleground, featuring Ethan Page versus Ricky Saints and some other stuff that I'm sure will be announced for next week's NXT. Appreciate everyone out there. Was there any feedback this week? I don't know if there was.
Oh,
where's our usual suspects of
I threw up a thread.
Fire, Megan. We usually get the same.
We'll probably log out and we'll get a message saying I did leave feedback.
I do see one. Yes,
yeah?
We have one from Megan here. I'll read it for you. A decent go home highlighted by a baller triple threat. Shawn Legacy is out of this world and he gained some new fans with his performance. If I'm Shawn, I'd fast track him to NXT. Does he mean Shawn Michaels? Not Shawn Legacy. Ashante can go when he's not busy being Mr. Studio Girl. Javon is Javon. He delivers. Kelani and Soul have their rematch, and both of them have grown significantly. This could very well exceed Heatwave, and I bet Trick will get the TNA title on Sunday. Mike Santana will get a shot on Long Island. I can see it already. The concerts have been used sparingly yet effectively. Trick's pseudo cipher was fine. Side note, take a look at Marcus Mathers versus Mike Santana on IWTV. It was incredible. Nice. We've seen Marcus Mathers at a few Demand Lucha shows as well. He's one of the WWE ID guys.
Okay.
That's been featured in GCW quite a lot. I've seen a lot of him. and he's fantastic. So I'm sure that match definitely slaps. Thank you, Megan, for writing in. And thank you, everybody. You can join the Facebook page, join the group there, follow us on all the socials, Poisonrana.ca for everything, and patreon.com/Poisonrana for all the shows that we've done. We mentioned our takeover review, Big Trouble in Little China, Final Destination, and a whole lot more. And we will be back. And we will see you at Battleground this Sunday. Take care. Goodbye. Be safe. And go Leafs go.
Ahoy!